Hello and welcome to the Overland Journal podcast. I am your host, Scott Brady, and for today's installment, we have a special guest interviewer in Bruce Dorn. Many of you know Bruce from his contributions to Overland Journal and his recent time on the Overland Journal podcast. Bruce interviews Vasilisa Komarova. They conduct the interview down in Mexico, and Bruce and Vasilisa have developed a long-time friendship as fellow travelers and photographers. For those that have sensitivity around disturbing subjects, you'll want to stop listening to the podcast at this time because Bruce's interview with Vasilisa includes details about her brutal rape in Bolivia in 2017. So we not only learn about Vasilisa's brutal assault, but we also learn about her unbreakable spirit. Vasilisa overcame incredible odds, coming back from being left for dead at the side of that lake to ultimately seeing her assailants prosecuted and serving now time in prison in Bolivia. This is an important conversation. It's a difficult one for Bruce, and it's a difficult one for Vasilisa to have, but you will come away being so impressed with her as an individual. And this is just going to be the first installment with Vasilisa. There's more conversations coming up, and you can read more about Vasilisa's story in the spring 2023 issue of Overland Journal. And we thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
This content is brought to you by Overland Journal, our premium quality print publication. The magazine was founded in 2006 with the goal of providing independent equipment and vehicle reviews, along with the most stunning adventures and photography. We care deeply about the countries and cultures we visit and share our experiences freely with our readers. We also have zero advertorial policy and do not accept any advertiser compensation for our reviews. By subscribing to Overland Journal, you're helping to support our employee-owned and veteran-owned publication. Your support also provides resources and funding for content like you are watching or listening to right now. You can subscribe directly on our website at overlandjournal.com.
Welcome to the Overland Journal podcast. I'm the Overland Journal's senior photographer and occasional writer, Bruce Dorn. And I'm here with Vasilisa Komarova, my longtime friend who I have been face-to-face with for 20 minutes back in about that. When you came out to the show in London, I was over there to do a little presentation at the Apple store.
Who could think we would meet here?
I know, it's crazy. Vasilisa came to my show and skated in and couldn't help but notice you. You came right up to the front row and you were very attentive, and we spoke for a few minutes afterwards, and I learned that you were an adventure traveler. And at that time, I believe you had already been traveling for a while, and I was doing a show on adventure photojournalism, adventure filmmaking. So if I recall, you have always wanted to be a traveler. You traveled by motorcycle.
Yes.
And tell me about when you were a kid.
Well, the thing is that I grew up in Soviet Union, and in Soviet Union, a kid could dream about anything, to be an astronaut, to be a scientist, policeman, fireman, but not a traveler, because we lived behind the iron border. And because few things that happened personally to my family when Soviet Union fell apart, like traveling was out of question for me, and I grew up on reading Tom Sawyer and Mark Twain. I wanted to do a lot of, discovery of the world, to have all the adventure. So I guess, in a way, being so out of possibility of traveling and just seeing it once in a while, in some programs, because even the programs from abroad almost didn't come to Russian Union. I remember there was one program on traveling, only like 1 hour, and I was always like waiting for this moment. And I guess it's really what I was dreaming since I remember myself, literally. Since I started to understand things and understand who I am, I wanted to travel.
I have this vision of you as like an 8-year-old girl who just sees the mountains in the distance or sees the horizon and just wants to go over it. Yeah. And you've been doing that, but there was something in between. So you, as I also recall, you're trained as an attorney, as a lawyer.
Yes, I was working in Russia as the assistant of the lawyer, because by the time I could become a lawyer, I understood that it's not what I want to do, because I was interested in criminal law more than anything, and I saw things that broke my heart and my paradigm, of all the world. And I realized that, in Russia, I cannot really change the system. So, and we say, like you cannot walk on dirt and not to become dirty. So I decided just to leave it all behind me and start from the scratch. And because the person who I was working at the moment in Russia was really high and close to the government, like I saw things that made me didn't want to be around all that at all.
How much time did you invest in being in the legal system where you saw all this stuff?
About 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah, like college, academy, diploma, then working, so yeah.
And you had enough. You finally had enough and you decided that was it. Yeah.
There was a tragedy, which I don't need to go into the details, and that tragedy made a huge impact on me, and I realized there is no way I want to be part of this.
And then when we met, you were in London and had been in London for a while, and you were not practicing law. You never went back to that. And I believe that you were a personal trainer and a fitness champion. I think you were already a fitness champion.
I don't remember if I was already champion by that time. And I think
you were on your way?
Maybe, yeah, I was maybe on the way, because I don't know if I mentioned that I did photography for some time also in London.
No.
Yeah, I did photography for some time. I was working on some books, then I was working in studio photography. Then, I was teaching Photoshop, like few people, yes, and won some competitions also with photography, Photoshop. But afterwards, also something happened, and eventually I went to Vietnam to meditate and think, about my life. And in the end, I decided to put more things together. So at some point, I can just go and, to chase my horizon.
This explains a lot, because your photography is fantastic. After we met, we exchanged Instagram information, and I began to follow you. And your work is terrific.
Thank you.
It's terrific.
Thank you.
I was going, what the heck? She's so good at this, But I really enjoyed following your travels and admire your work. You began making short trips out of the country, and you went to Vietnam and some other places. And
I've been almost all over Asia, but it would be like 1 or 2 months at the time, because at that time I was working as a personal trainer, and I would lead my clients for a year and more. And most of the time, sometime between mid of December to the mid of January, as much as through whole August, it was that period. So I could take at least those 2 months, out of the year, just go into the country, find the motorcycle, put my backpack on the motorcycle and just go to explore, and then come back to London and live normal life.
Well, since arriving here in Tulum to meet with you, all I've wanted to do is buy a motorcycle. I want to buy a motorcycle and run around.
Well, you have one in the United States, right?
I'm kind of light on motorcycles at the moment. I sold my beloved Harley, but the fellow who owns it has promised me visitation rights. So.
Yeah, but I can see that you understand you're guilty, right? Yeah, guilty.
Well, as you get older and slower-witted, I don't know if motorcycles are exactly the right choice, but
They're always right choice.
They are the right choice. They are
Yes.
the right choice. I started making the wrong choice of motorcycles at a very young age. I was racing motocross and stuff when I was about 14.
And it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't have changed anything, but I crashed a lot.
So did I. Here we are.
It goes with the excitement. Can't have the excitement without paying a price sometimes.
Exactly.
But so you would go somewhere, get a bike, get a map, and find the most remote path and follow it.
Yeah, usually, but I think, like now with years past, I understand that I did things that I shouldn't have done, because at that time it was no GPS, nothing. So I would usually get a, painted map. Then I would like, there is a lot of green and there is a dot. It must be interesting. And I would go there, But obviously, it would bring me into, I'm here now to tell the story, so I've done everything right.
Everything is perfect.
Yes,
Everything
but
is
let's
perfect.
say if I would have children or anything, I would definitely not them to want to do those things, because I don't know, it's a miracle that I'm still around.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that I'm part cat, because cats have 9 lives, and I've
Exactly.
used at least 9. So yeah, you can call me Cat Daddy. I'm going to adopt that title, Cat Daddy. Adventure travel. It wasn't even called that then. You were just driven to pursue.
Yeah, I even didn't know,
unknown.
I never read, I still haven't read a single blog on traveling on the motorcycles. And now I think, maybe when I started, I should have read something, because, all what I had, my rollerblade pads, rollerblade gloves, I would get, the cheapest helmet, and I didn't have any protection. I would just take, my backpack, put it on the motorcycle, and learn on the way.
But I get the impression you really believe that it's a great way to self-actualize.
Exactly, because it's like it brought me the most amazing experiences. If I didn't get lost, if I didn't crash, I wouldn't, made all those stories that I have to remember, once I was lost, monks took me to live in the monastery. Another time, the tribe took me to live with them and they healed me. And I wouldn't get inside of those places and get connected with people if I did everything correctly, So as long as you follow your heart and you feel it and you trust your intuition, the God, the journey, or wherever you want to call it, will take you exactly where you want to be taken.
I believe that. I believe the universe rewards those who are brave.
Exactly.
And I have daughters and granddaughters, and as a grandfather, it's a little different than being a father. You really don't want your daughters to do anything dangerous. But with the granddaughters, you kind of want them to have an adventure, but you also want them to figure out the best ways to be safe.
Exactly,
Best ways to be safe.
I think it's not making mistakes, but, learning from mistakes that make you a greater person. Because if you never tried, if you never got burned yourself, who you going to be?
Yeah.
You will be just a jar without water in it.
So before you did most of Southeast Asia, and then I think you were getting ready to head towards South America to do what I have always thought of as a transact from the southernmost point up to Alaska. I think that when we talked, your goal was to do that journey. And along the way, you had a terrible experience. And that's the subject of the article in the Overland Journal, the spring edition of 2023. So that's out there to learn from. But after having just an awful experience and pulling yourself out of that, which was not a slow process, and I feel like the fighter that you are from your goals of working in law and trying to champion people who are in legal issues, I think probably helped you survive.
Absolutely, because I believed into doing the correct thing, and I believed into the rightness of putting those people into the jail, and it was so strong, that belief inside of me, that I was just following it wherever anyone would tell, because even the people who were on my side and helping me eventually, they would say, we know that you're not going to win, but because nobody tried before, we will use your case as a study case, so we know all the mistakes in the system, how afterwards to help to other people. But when I won, like even in the court, I remember, the amazed faces, because it was like a miracle happened.
You never let go. You refused to let go, and you're unbreakable.
I am.
Yeah. Well, which brought, finally, you were able to, and there's no way that you can put that terrible experience completely behind you, but...
No, I can, because, like now even when I look back, I believe, I know it may sound strange, with everything what's going on right in the world right now, but I believe that universe puts on our shoulders only what we can carry. And it's depend on us how we carry it and how we react. So now when something happens, for example, last year started terribly for me, things happened. But by then I already believed into the greater thing around above me. And so I knew that whatever happens now, I won't dive into it with the sadness. I will see how I can learn from that. And my horrible experience, what I had now when I look back, I know it sounds strange, but I'm grateful to universe for that, because it never would make me so strong as I am now. I would not become unbreakable if someone didn't try to break me before.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Everything is
and here you are. We the way that I discovered that you were going through the troubles was that you sort of disappeared off of social media for a little while. Yeah. And then we reconnected, and we had a lot of exchanges. And I've tried to kind of be there for you as just a friend out there far, far away. But now here you are, and I feel like your journey, your physical journey, is going to continue. But here you're planted in Tulum at this time, and you're feeling very happy, satisfied at
Absolutely,
the moment?
because here it's I'm now putting together. I feel like, eventually everything that happened to me in my life, like from the childhood, from the background where I grew up, my family, things that happened, my education, everything, it was like bits of puzzle. And now eventually, here I can bring all the puzzle together into one beautiful picture, and this beautiful picture make a change in the world. So I'm working on this now.
I love it. I love it. I truly think that every moment, positive or difficult, builds us to a certain point where we can do things that we're destined to do. But so do you anticipate that you will be planted here for a while? You have new projects?
Yes,
and,
yes. Because
tell me a little bit about the new projects.
So here in Tulum, I came back to my spiritual part, and now I'm helping some women again to go through certain traumas. So far, I've been doing it mostly one-to-one with some friends, but now I'm forming tours, motorcycle tours. Like right now, I'm looking for motorcycles or for the companies who want to help me on this in the way of the promotion of the tours, only for women, starting with the short tours like 4 or 5 days around Utah, and then taking them further out. With those who don't drive yet super well, but who I can help on the way, and through this help, to give them power, because motorcycle and traveling is so empowering. So during the day we would travel, and then we would have, women's circle discussion, bringing out all the traumas, discussing the traumas, and putting all that power which we learn during the day into this content, and through this to empower.
Such good work.
Thank you.
Good work. And I'm certain it will bear fruit, and it will be a fantastic success.
Thank you.
And as it goes forward, I'm going to be a force multiplier for you as you get this going. I look forward to helping you turn it into something really big, and I hope that it reaches far, far beyond here, although this is a spectacular place.
Yeah, when the universe wants to help you, you just need to be grateful. So yes, I'm really grateful.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. So Gosh, there's so much to talk about, but this has been a really great moment, time to catch up a little bit. Do you have anything that you want to promote a little bit more or talk about a little bit more? The tours, do you have a name for your tour group or for this thing yet?
So far I will start at my 1,000 Smiles. It's my name. So I haven't thought about the company. I want to follow these because this you can play towards, so like 1,000 miles, and with these 1,000 miles to have 1,000 smiles, and we'll see if it's grow into another world or anything. But this is the main thing. Also, my groups, I call them Sisterhood, Phoenix Sisterhood, because those women usually had also quite few traumas behind. And as I said, it's when you go through the traumas, it's what makes you stronger. So we, all of us, like phoenixes, coming out of the ash and ready to fly.
Yeah, the Phoenix Rising, I've used that to describe you many times. And it sounds like you're continuing to soar and will continue to do so. And Vasilisa's Instagram is my1000smiles, at my1000smiles. Look deep back into her feed. You'll see a lot of amazing imagery, and you'll see the story of an amazing woman. So happy. All right, Vasilisa, thanks. I just can't wait to share more and hear more about your projects and your successes.
Thank you. And thank you for coming all the way here.
Oh, it's awful to come to Tulum. She could have invited me before, but now that I have this villa, it's all good. It's all good. So I'll be back anytime. All right. Thanks, folks. Bruce Dorn for the Overland Journal podcast.